Welcome to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple, with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket, thanks to titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk and gold sponsor Podium.
Whispering Loudly is the Workshop Whisperer podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm producer Mel. We really want you to go to wherever you listen, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, maybe Amazon. Gee, Spotify's really rocketing up the ranks, guys. Our listens on that lately, they've been really good. We'd love you to do a review wherever you listen. We don't care, it really helps us out. So today we've got a review from 5.8 Tony. So this is what Tony says. If you're an auto repair shop owner, you need to listen to this. They speak out language and understand the pressures of running a business in the automotive aftermarket. Exclamation mark. Listen and learn! Exclamation mark! We love that you're so excited by the podcast. Coming up next, Dean Evans joins us for Performance Hub.
Welcome to Performance Hub with Dean Evans.
Whispering Loudly is the Workshop Whisperer podcast. Hi, I'm producer Mel, and we are joined by Dean Evans for Performance Hub today, where we're talking about recovery.
Recovery, well, no, it's a theme that we've spoken about before, but also the experience that I had spending 4 years working with the Adelaide 36ers here in the National Basketball League. You know, what I came to really learn from those athletes was, you know, the importance and the power of recovery. You know, playing in such a dynamic competition, you know, a lot of travel involved, the expectation of performing, you know, at such a high level over an extended period of time. Much of the conversation was on how well they could recover between games, and that's what we want to talk about on this podcast episode.
It's interesting because in regards to business owners, they don't talk about that much, do they? We just drive and drive and drive until we fall over often. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the risk of burning out, blowing up or breaking down is amplified for a business owner because they just don't have the same understanding of the power of recovery.
So tell us all about it. How do we recover and how do we get that into the mindset of our employees and plan for it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess maybe one of the things to understand is how not to recover. And, you know, that is not to plough down, you know, a six-pack of beer every night. It's not to party till the wee hours. It's not to just redline your life as far as you can.
Redline your life.
It's to set in place, you know, make a deliberate choice to actually take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And when we talk about, you know, recovery, what are we really talking about? It's replenishing our energy and ensuring that we are doing all that we can to re-energise, refresh ourselves, ready to come back the next day, because the pressures won't go away, the problems won't subside. The more efficient, the more effective your workshop comes, the more that spreads by word of mouth. So there will always be external pressures placed, you know, upon us as we grow, as we improve, as we succeed, and therefore our ability to manage ourselves, our own energy, becomes more and more critical to be able to do this for the long term, because the average professional lifespan of an athlete is about 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
But if you run your business well, you're going to be doing this for 20, 30, maybe 40 years. And so there is very much a long-term game, a long-term view that we need to be playing here that allows us to perform as well as we can for as long as we can. Hence, when we break down recovery, we're really looking at, you know, physical recovery, mental recovery, emotional recovery, and what are the things that need to be done at each one of those, or, you know, in each one of those areas. Now, for physical, it's pretty straightforward, right? Anyone that's been involved in any type of physical activity, be it just an amateur level or moving up to something more serious, you know, understands the importance of, you know, nutrition and hydration. You know, what are we fueling our body with? Making sure that we're, you know, good choices that are providing us the energy required to run the body. You know,
Isn't it
run the
amazing,
system.
just in regards to nutrition, the small things? So I get up, I think, most days and start with a couple of litres of water. And my friends think it's strange, but as soon as I drink that, I feel so much better for the rest of the day, 100%. And once you make a habit of it, these things just roll on, don't they? But you got to make a habit of it.
The human body has a blueprint for perfect health for every single one of us, right? But it's the habits and the disciplines that we create around that start to, you know, really decay and erode, you know, the system that our body uses to function. Now, obviously, that change is determined by our genetic makeup, also, you know, the age at which we're at in life in terms of the ways that we want to exercise, what we want to fuel our body with. But you know, what it's not is copious amounts of coffee. What it's not is copious amounts of alcohol. What it's not is copious amounts of, Red Bull or V or mother drinks. If that's what you're requiring to begin your day, there's the first sign that your body is not getting what it really needs. If you need, a synthetic substance really to get your motor going in the morning, there's an opportunity for you to do something that's, to change one of your habits in a way that's going to be good for you, it's going to be good for others, and it's going to be good for the greater good, i.e. you will be able to perform better for longer. We know from the world of exercise that while physical activity is important, in terms of when you want to, if you want to improve the way that your body functions or the way that your body looks, 80% of physical health is nutrition. It's what we put in. It's not how many weights.
Do you know how you know that? It's because you can do as much exercise as you want, not change your diet. You get no difference in your body. Change your diet, do hardly anything. Next minute, 100% difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
even with people who have diabetes and stuff like that, they change their diet.
Yeah.
Lots of doctors don't even know what they say. They can't explain it, but next minute it's gone. Type 2.
Yeah,
they can often have it.
Correct. Whether it's those low GI foods or which produce the thermogenetic effect, which is where your body burns fat without the exercise. It's actually starting your motor. It's really fueling your fire from the inside out. And what's that saying? You can't out-exercise a bad diet.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the small distinctions that auto repair shop owners or people involved in auto repair shop businesses don't get, is that it's their ability to lead, or the business's ability to perform, will be a direct reflection of the business owner's ability to perform. And what's the one resource, the only resource they have available to them every day that makes everything run is them.
Yeah.
It's their attitude, their energy, their attention, their focus. And if we're not hydrating, if we're not fueling ourselves the right way, well, the fluctuations that we have in our own energy levels, and therefore, our ability to maintain focus, to maintain control over ourselves, and remain calm when the pressure builds, or when the proverbial S hits the fan. This is all built upon how good we feel about ourselves. Do we have the capacity to do it? And for those of us that have children, when you get worn out, that I always used to say, my ability to parent was directly related to how well I'd slept that night.
Yeah,
so
true.
Our ability to perform is directly related to what we actually fuel our body with. And again, leading into the festive season, so as we record this, it's December now. This isn't about rigid discipline either. I think that's the important thing. There is flexibility is a key ingredient of life, allowing ourselves to enjoy certain moments, enjoy specific foods, but there's a harmony between it all.
Yeah, and the base level. You operate on the base level of health.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And I think it's not necessarily what does healthy look like, but it's what does healthy feel like. And maybe that's where, you slide on your jeans, you start noticing, wow, that's taking a little bit more effort to get the buttons together. Maybe it's like, wow, I'm not sleeping as well, whatever it might be. It's those little signs that perhaps we're going outside of what healthy feels like for us. And I know from my perspective, when I was younger, being involved in high-level sport and having skin folds every 2 weeks and everything measured like that. I look back now and I go, perhaps my example of what healthy and fit was something different to what it is now. But for me now, being healthy and fit is having enough energy to do the things I want to be able to do in a day. And as I approach 50 years of age, my goal in terms of my performance and recovery is all being built around functionality and flexibility. Am I flexible enough to do the things I want to do, and do I have enough functionality in my body to be able to enjoy them? So that means, if we go on holidays, I can jump into the waves and go body surfing. I can swing a golf club. I can still kick a footy or do the things we want to do. And that to me is being fighting fit. I'm fit enough to do the things that are important to me, that I want to fight to maintain. So I think that's an important message for people listening to this episode, is take care of yourself and understand that you can't, as we said, you can't redline your life. You can't be burning the candle at both ends or only burning it at one end. You must take time to recover your energy, your clarity, and what's two of the easiest ways to do that? is by what you eat and drink. It is the fuel for your life. You don't get it from anywhere else. So be deliberate in what you choose to ingest, what you fuel yourself with, because it will make a huge difference to your ability to lead your team, but also manage the external pressures that you're going to face every single day.
Take a smoke out and review us on your Apple Podcast app or wherever you listen.
We know that you guys practice what you preach. In fact, I email you sometimes and it's like, oh, we're on our 4-day work week. I go, oh, that's right. They do the 4-day work week. So how does that show up for you guys, Rach, in day-to-day? You know, how do you guys, obviously your job is very intense and there's so much pressure, and if you wanted to, you could just not stop whatsoever. But how do you practice that with the recovery? You know, what does that look like for you? How does it show up?
Well, with our 4-day work week, just like we advocate for our clients, we have to effectively lock the door to our virtual office every Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And no one is allowed to work. No one is allowed to log on. No one is allowed to assign anyone anything until we come back on Tuesday. So no one's allowed to work on Saturday, Sunday or Monday, even
That's
if it's
cool.
to catch up.
And you will. It depends. Like, I often find that people will send you an email, you know, 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning. So
Correct.
the fact that you've said, you know, this is part of our statement, that this does not happen, is cool.
And we have to treat it like it's a bricks and mortar business, and I've got the keys to the front door. And once I lock it on Friday, that's it. You know, you're not coming back until Tuesday. And that's as much for everyone in the team as it is for myself, because we don't get the downtime. And I think lockdown showed us that our ability, especially because we've got a virtual business, it's so easy to extend your work time, and before you know it, you can be working 5, 6, even 7 days a week and sitting at your desk for 10 or 12 hours. So it's really, really important that if you notice that you are overworking or you're not adhering to the boundaries that you set for yourself and for your team, and that you told your family and friends that you would stick to, that you pull it back and you go, what's happened here? What old habits have we fallen into? I've certainly been guilty of it for myself in the past. You have to go, oh, hang on a sec, that's an old pattern, because burnout will be the result.
Yeah.
So we don't want that for anyone.
It's interesting how you say 12 hours, because I find that I can do the same. And once you go sort of down the rabbit hole with a task, I don't wear my Apple Watch much, but it does something like, say, stand up, take a breath, and you go, oh, God, I've been sitting here for that long. You know, so that sort of stuff as well that you talk about, you should check in with that sort of stuff. Even,
Definitely.
You know, a lot of people have standing desks these days. You know, I stand to announce in podcasts. So, yeah. Cool.
And I think the other part of that is, well, you know, there's a discipline in keeping the agreement you make to yourself to do nothing.
Yeah.
There's a discipline in keeping the agreement to make nothing.
Yes.
And you know, in the context of sport, using that as the comparison to work, well, the game always ends in sport.
Yes.
But if you're running your own workshop, if you're in your own business, you need to decide when the final siren blows. And how often are we doing overtime, or we hear about people doing overtime because they're saying yes to that job, but you never hear an athlete say, hey, you know what, now that we're in front, let's go play one more quarter and see if we can lose. They don't make that decision. So you've got to make, and you're the owner. You get to decide when the finish line, when the game ends, day to day. Exactly.
So good. Performance Hub. Hey, if you enjoyed that episode, why don't you go to the search bar and look up Performance Hub with Whispering Loudly, and you can hear some more of Dean's advice in his other episodes.
Thanks for listening to Whispering Loudly, the award-winning Workshop Whisperer podcast, as featured by Apple with Rachael Evans, the #1 automotive business coach in the aftermarket. Thanks to Titanium sponsor Mechanic Desk and gold sponsor Podium.